Hi everyone, welcome back to BlenderSushi Live Noding. In this video, I'm gonna take you through the creation of this kind of like a ring rotation, like a rotating rings. I've probably done something similar using animation nodes, but it was a little bit convoluted. I'm pretty sure it's actually a lot simpler to do in Sverchok if you understand what's going on. So the node itself is pretty simple. It's looking something like this. I will explain. I will start from scratch actually. So this is the final result. So it's just rings that's rotating. Not too complex. It's pretty simple, but you will learn a lot of things by doing this. If you're actually just if this is your first live noding video that you watch, don't worry, you just download Sverchok, download Blender, and then install Sverchok add-on, and you can follow through what I'm doing. It should be pretty simple actually. Save as. This is Sverchok ring rotation. So I will start by creating a circle. And then I will create a viewer node, viewer draw. And instead of a polygon, we really want to use just the edges, because this circle, which is just the edges, will become the ring for us at some stage. For now, we're just gonna investigate this circle. Okay, so we have this node, right? Circle node, and we have the radius. We have the number of circle with the degree. Probably with the degree, we're not gonna change it. We keep it at 360. With the radius, we might be able to do something about it. There's a couple of nodes that in Sverchok that enable you to generate kind of lists, and whatever list you plug in into the radius or number of vertices will actually reflect with in the result. Let's say I'm using range float. Okay, range float. By default, you have this range, count, and step. I usually like to use count because I can specify how many rings, how many values I have in between start and stop. So in this case, we want to plug this into the radius. If we actually check the result of this using the stethoscope nodes, we can see it's generating this kind of value, 0 to 10 and 13 of them, because we specify how many in between this value. So that's really handy. And in Sverchok, if you plug in like a list of values, you're gonna get a result like that. This is basically a circle with a radius. It's an eight number of circles being generated with a radius value between this number, start and stop. Okay, that's nothing. It's not too complex. It's basically what it is. Now the next thing we can do, actually instead of range float, you can also now use the random number generator. This is one of my favorite nodes at the moment. It's basically generating random number. Stethoscope app. Have a look. Let's say we want it between 1 and 5. It's gonna generate all these numbers, which is pretty interesting. And we can plug this into the radius, and we have circle with random radius. You can have as many as you want or as little as you want, but you can clearly see what's going on there. It's really super handy and for a lot of things. So for now, let's see whether I use the range float or random number. Let's use range float for now, just keep it simple. Okay, something like this. So let's rotate this guy. For that we can use the matrix. So let's use this matrix in. If we plug that in, apparently it goes to 0, 0, 0. What's going on? Maybe locations is set to 0, 0, 0 and scale set to 1, 1, 1. If I use like a random value for this guy, maybe like generate the same number or like the count of this. So 8 for that, 8 for this guy, and just plug this into the location, and we have something like this. Because it's a random number, it's 8 random points number used as a locations. So we already know that. You can scale it up, you can randomize the seed, and you have this kind of pattern. It's really brilliant what this is, allows you to do. Normally this is not simple to do, but you can take that for granted. It's really handy. If we zero it out, we can have circle that's back in the position. Sometimes you want to, you know, randomize it a little bit, you know, give it a more, it's a lot nicer. Sometimes you randomize it or you add noise, it's gonna look much better. It looks more natural basically. So now for the scale we just keep it as it is because it's already scaled, controlled using the radius. Okay. Now maybe we want to randomize the rotations. We can certainly do that. It's for that we can use actually random vector as well. Because random vector, if you don't know, it's spitting out this vector numbers, 3 number, x, y, z, and we have 8 of them at the moment. Plug this guy into the rotations and we see nothing. That's because the rotation is really affected by the angle. So if I plug in float angle to the angle, it's actually it's a degree, it's in degree, 360, and it should go back to original, like flat. So that's almost pretty much done, except that perhaps we want to control it in such a way that its circle is rotating maybe not at the same time. They shouldn't rotate and stop at the same time. It's kind of boring that way. See, it's gonna rotate 360 and everything's back to normal. So that's not very interesting. Sometimes you want to make it a little bit more random. I'll show you that. Before I use random, let's try using some things like vector. Actually, it's x or z. Vector. There is this node. This is special node. It's just x, y, z. This is actually giving you the output of 1, 0, 0. So 0, 0, 1 for z and 0, 1, 0 and 1, 0, 0. Use one of these into the rotations and you can see that guy is rotating, you know, all at the same axis. Now I want to show you that we can actually randomize and offset the speed of rotations and then how much it's rotating. Basically, like if you look at my older live noding video and I'm using animation nodes, and oftentimes like I said, we have time goes from 0 to the end of the the frames. So that's the time you have, and then you have if you want to randomize it, you plug in some things like what is it called in animation notes? Is it offset times, or suddenly I forgot. It's let me open animation notes. So time, delay time. Okay, there's a time and delay time, repeat time. Those nodes are really handy in animation nodes. And then to do that in Sverchok, we really just need to offset it. You know, this is a time. Okay, this is a if we use stethoscope, you can see the time goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keep going. If you actually add you use math in Sverchok, plug this in and then use an add here, and you use something like a range number, range integer, and this integer, if we check it out, it's looking like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 9. We can use this guy to offset the time, and we're gonna have like a multiple time coming out like that. You see now we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 different 5 like 10 different time because of this guy. If we specify 5, the list become 5, and this is 5 different number. We can actually kind of step the time, maybe use count instead, and then use this, maybe different 10 offset per time. You see, yeah, by doing that you can really randomize this rotation of the circle. Simply just plug this into the angle, and now you can see it's being offset. And that's really the concept I want to pass it to you, so you can understand what's going on. This is really I think quite brilliant. Quite normally you're not able to see this unless you, I don't know, you experiment with it. Maybe you use a program like processing, but in processing to kind of thinking 3D. If you're not like 3D person, it's a bit hard. I don't know, maybe I think programmers should find this pretty easy, and I think a good programmer at least who use 3D. Normally if you're like not a technical person, and you're asked to make something like this, you're gonna be like, oh man, this is too hard. It's not actually that hard if you understand what's going on. Now, how many count do we have? 8? Okay, 8. Plug in this guy to that guy, so we have 8. We can increase it. You see, as we increasing, it's become more and more complex. Maybe not that many. 30. Yeah, that's pretty good. And we can increase the randomizations. Yeah, that's pretty random. Maybe zero out the random. You have something like this. It's beautiful. If you love math, you love 3D, this is quite beautiful. Okay, now what else can we do here? We can if we use random, let's try it. Get something like that. It's quite unusual. That's if we are actually using this X or Y or the Z axis. Z actually is rotating. It's rotating the curve. If we have like small number of curve, like 12, you can see it's actually rotating that way. It can be nice. I don't mind it. Maybe either one of these. Sometimes you have these kind of junctions kind of thing. I think you can use switch maybe. true and false, plug this in there, so you can have either use this or use that. Yeah. But everything you control here will give you a different effects. It's like this kind of pattern, I didn't plan to make this, but see, I got it by accident, and this is pretty interesting. Okay, maybe you don't want this. What I want to show you is really just the rotating rings. So back to our plan, just random rotations. So now we have this. It's a triangle actually. Increase it like 24. Now we have our circle back and have like 20 on only. They're rotating. They're offset slightly, but they're rotating at the same speed. If you want to randomize the speed, you can also do that by using the similar kind of a setup here. So the plus here is gonna offset it. You can offset it with a negative value as well. So, but at the moment they're rotating all in the kind of in the positive rotation. If you want rotation that's in the opposite directions, you want to use negative. Let's try that. Let's delete the grease pencil. So we have the offset. All right, let's use a different speed for this guy. You can actually use random. Okay, that's the speed. That's a bit crazy at the moment. Let's use random number generator. Excuse me. And plug this into the count. This is the time. Our time is only 1, but it's become multiplied, you know, once we add and multiply it. We can have maybe -1 to 1. Let's have a look. If we use -1 and 1, perhaps we have, sometimes we have 0. We don't want that. Maybe between -2 and 2, around that. So now we can see the circle rotating in a different in a different speed. Hopefully we don't have number that's 0, or if they are too slow it's okay, but not 0. Randomize the seed, maybe if you until you find the one that, hey, okay, that's all right, that's cool. Increase it or decrease it as you please. Now we're almost done with this, except that maybe I will use a Polyline Viewer here. The Polyline Viewer accept like just vertices. We don't need to put the edges. This is a special kind of node that kind of outputs like a curve. We need to provide the vertices, and now see the vertices look like this. This is just a circle. We need to close it maybe, and then if we turn B-spline, it's gonna be like a smooth curve. Okay, we do that, and then plug in the matrix, and they're all rotating in a crazy way. And if we switch to cycles and then apply a material, let's create a new material for this guy. So call it colorful. Assign it here, colorful. Radius. This is actually for the ring radius. We cannot randomize it. This is in this node, but that's okay. We can randomize the color because it's cycles. We can go to cycles, and then this is just a bonus kind of extra thing. if you give it is there a random number? Yes, object info. If you just plug in random to that guy, we have like a value that's a kind of random value between white and black, but that's probably not what you want. You want it to specify your own color. I've done this a couple of times, but I'm just gonna show it again just for you. Okay, maybe we have color like that. Add more color. Just blue color. 3 colors. Random, plug it in, and because they are all different objects, it's gonna work right away. So you have this random blue color. It's quite nice actually. Maybe turn on ambient occlusion, but not too much. It's gonna look really flat sometimes. And we currently only have diffuse. Maybe we use mix shader. I don't know. This is what I like to do quite often. For now, it's a classic setup. It's really boring. It's really basic. You can do much better actually. Let's render it out. Calculating BPH. Now we have something maybe slightly better. Not particularly interesting. Why did I give red color there? What will be nicer? Maybe translucent, and then plug it there. I don't know if I give yellow, maybe blue or red. It's like variations. Sometimes actually just adding proper light will give a lot of it will make it more beautiful rather than leave it to the world. Emission 5, 10. Emit some light. Render. Yeah, cool. So that's pretty much what I want to show you today. It's rather basics, but you know, can be quite useful if you want to make this kind of ring pattern. In fact, this ring, this is like super simple. If you want, you can further work with this. I'll save it again, and maybe you don't want a polyline. Just delete it, delete everything. Back to this guy. Maybe you want to excuse me, list the mask. Maybe I have not tried this, but just do it. List mask out. There you go. Now currently it's broken. Maybe we wanna plug data if true. Okay, plug data if true. List level 2. Yeah, this seems to be correct. Now that's definitely more interesting. The list mask by default is kind of a like 0 1 0 1. It's a, you know that we have a edge indices there, edge data passed into this list mask, and it's kind of killing every other edges. So we have this kind of pattern. If we go back to this guy, looking like that. Very, very interesting. And for the mask, you really can use the random number again. Super handy nodes, thanks to Zephy. And random value float. Actually, integer. I don't know, integer. Let's see. Stethoscope. Can I get 0 and 1? 0, 1. Yeah, this is actually exactly what we need. Pretty cool. Super handy, in fact. Here's I'm like randomly masking the edges of this guy, and we have this kind of result. I was actually going to do another tutorial where we kind of like creating the circle, and the circles become like a endless unlimited tunnel. Maybe that's for the next live noding video. I like the idea of being able to generate something that's looping and continuously, but it's all working properly like that. You know, it's endless circle. It's procedural, and you can control every single attribute of this to make changes. Change the state. Okay, this or that. And okay, that's controlling that thing. Randomize the seed. Randomize the seed here. Oh, it didn't work. Change this to that. See, the Z is interesting. Yeah. There is a, I think there is a scene in Iron Man that looks something like this. Although it's a, I think in Iron Man it's more like a sphere, multi-layered sphere, and then it's just a layer of kind of a random stuff to generate. This is more like lines, but if you have like a lot of this guy, maybe use a random one and have like a lot, 150. See, this is very interesting. Go inside it. No. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. I might post this gits in the gits as well. Export it up. Export this. This is a circle. Random circles. Rotating. This is the JSON for you can just grab the node setup there. Okay, that's pretty much what I want to show you in this video. Thanks again for tuning in. Leave a comments down below if